a 596-meter tower can dominate an entire skyline without a single person living inside it. For almost a decade, Tianjin had exactly that, a super-tall structure standing completed to its full height, but unfinished as a building and completely unoccupied. Then, after years of silence, construction returned. The tower began moving again in 2025, and by March 2026, workers were lifting a 6-ton steel crown onto its top. This is Golden Finance 117. And the strange part isn't that China built something this tall. It's that the structure reached the sky, stopped for nearly 10 years, and then came back under a completely different financial reality. The story begins on the outskirts of Tianjin, where Golden Properties planned something far larger than a single skyscraper. The developer wanted the tower to become the centerpiece of the Golden Metropolitan Project, a luxury mixed-use development built around offices, residences, retail, entertainment, and other high-end facilities. The architect was P&T Group, with Arup serving as structural engineer and China Construction Third Engineering Bureau as the main contractor. The brief was ambitious, not simply tall, but unmistakable. Construction began in 2008, and the tower was eventually designed around a slender profile resembling a walking stick, giving it one of its most recognizable nicknames. The top was designed as a diamond-shaped crown, containing a planned observation deck, swimming pool, and other hotel facilities. And then, the numbers start becoming difficult to comprehend. The tower rises about 596.6 meters, or roughly 1,957 feet. Giktibu records 128 floors above ground, while the project's name refers to 117 principal occupied floors. Its occupied height reaches about 584 meters. At one point, when it topped out in September 2015, it was the 5th tallest building in the world. 4 enormous megacolumns rise through the structure, tied together by major beam transfer trusses and braces. The tower is wrapped in a reflective curtain wall, hiding much of the structural machinery that makes the shape possible. It was a remarkable piece of engineering. And then the engineers started doing the math. In a normal tall building, increasing height creates increasing demands from wind, earthquakes, and the building's own weight. The moment you make the tower exceptionally slender, those forces become harder to manage because the structure has less width available to resist movement. Here's the thing about Golden Finance 117 that every structural engineer immediately understands. Its height-to-width ratio is about 9.5, while the Chinese seismic code referenced by Kibu sets a ratio of 7, 0 as a limit for ordinary conditions. That meant the project required more stringent structural criteria. Let's talk about what happens structurally when you make a tower this tall and this narrow. The building doesn't simply stand there like a giant concrete pole. It moves. Every tall building sways in wind, and that movement is normal. The challenge is controlling it so the structure, fade, and people inside remain within acceptable limits. Golden's answer was a composite structural system combining a reinforced concrete core with a massive exterior megaframe. 4 megacolumns at the corners continue almost the entire height, connected by major structural elements that help distribute forces through the tower. Not slightly, not as a design flourish. The structure had to be engineered around its proportions. But here's something about this building that nobody ever explains. The biggest problem wasn't necessarily whether the tower could stand. By measurable structural standards, the tower was topped out. The harder question was whether the enormous commercial project around it could justify keeping the tower alive. Golden Properties ran into severe financial trouble around the time of China's 2015 stock market crash. Construction was suspended again in December 2015, and the project eventually became the world's tallest unoccupied building. That part doesn't make it into the architecture magazines. Because while the tower was physically enormous, the systems that make a skyscraper useful were never fully delivered. No normal hotel operation, no functioning observation deck, No ordinary stream of office workers stepping into elevators every morning. No residents opening apartment doors at sunset. Just structure and steel. And thousands of square meters waiting for a purpose. But here's the detail nobody surfaces. The wider development was supposed to help make the tower economically meaningful. Without that surrounding ecosystem, a super tall can become something remarkably simple, an extremely expensive object that happens to be vertical. In 2016, the tower also became internationally famous for a very different reason. Russian urban explorers Ivan Bierkus and Angela Nicolau climbed the unfinished structure and its construction crane, bringing worldwide attention to the abandoned project. Nobody was hurt in the climb, but the images showed something unusual. An enormous tower with almost none of the ordinary human activity that normally defines a skyscraper. The silence was the story. Then came the restart. On April 25, 2025, reports announced a new construction permit for the project, with BG engineering consultants involved in the renewed work. The remaining construction contract was reported at almost 569 million yuan, or about $78 million. In 2026, the story became bigger than one developer. A state-backed restructuring took control of the distressed project, and Chinese authorities began treating the 117 tower as part of a broader effort to revive troubled real estate assets. In January, Tianjin officials met with leaders from China CITIC Group, China State Construction Engineering Corporation, and China Cinda to discuss revitalizing the project. By March 2026, workers were installing the diamond-shaped crown. 6-ton steel component was lifted into place, marking one of the most visible signs that the tower was finally moving toward completion. Think about what that means for a moment. The same tower that had become a symbol of stalled private development was now being completed through a state-backed restructuring. And that changes the meaning of the building. During its long absence, other towers passed it. Shanghai Tower became taller. Ping An Finance Center became taller. Tianjin itself gained the 530-meter Tianjin CTF Finance Center. If completed as planned, Golden Finance 117 would no longer be China's tallest tower. It would be China's third tallest. Here is the fundamental difference between Golden Finance 117 and every other super tall we've covered. Its defining engineering achievement happened years before its economic purpose was ready to receive it. And here's the question that sits beneath all of this. What happens to a building designed for one era when it finally reaches completion in another? The answer isn't visible in the steel. The materials don't care that the developer changed. The concrete doesn't care that property prices weakened. The mega columns don't know that China later introduced restrictions on new buildings above 500 meters. But the business model does. And by 2026, the tower's future use still wasn't identical to the original dream. The project was targeting completion in 2027. While reports said leasing for the main tower had already attracted 17 companies, including 7 state-owned enterprises and 10 private firms. That is a very different ending from the one imagined in 2008. A tower once planned as the centerpiece of a luxury metropolis is now part of a national attempt to absorb and restructure distressed property. Honestly, that's genuinely interesting. Because the building didn't become obsolete, its meaning changed. Somewhere beneath that reflective fade, elevators will eventually move people through hundreds of meters of vertical space. Doors will open, air conditioning systems will cycle, pumps will move water, workers will complain about the commute. Someone will stare through a window at Tianjin while having coffee. Ordinary life. The extraordinary structure will become ordinary to the people using it. But here's the question that sits beneath all of this. How many years will it take before nobody remembers that the tower once stood almost completely empty? Right now, a worker can climb into an elevator inside one of the world's most unusual super tall structures and watch the doors close around a building that spent nearly a decade waiting for its second life. The tower isn't a mystery. because nobody understands how it stands. The mystery is why something so enormous had to wait so long before anyone could decide what it was actually for. Drop it below. Would you trust a building that spent nearly a decade unfinished? Or would you buy here anyway? See you in the next one. Verify Golden Finance 117 Skyscraper in Jiqing District, Tianjin, China. P&T Group architect of Golden Finance 117. Arab structural engineer/consultant associated with the original design. China Construction 3rd Engineering Bureau main contractor. Construction began in 2008. Tower topped out on September 8, 2015. Architectural height approximately 596.6 meters, 1,957 feet. Tip height reported at approximately 597 meters, 1,959 feet. Kibu floor count, 128 above-ground floors. The project name refers to 117 principal occupied floors. Occupied height, approximately 584.1 meters. Height to width ratio, approximately 9.5. Chinese seismic code ratio, referenced by Kitaba, 7.0. 4 major megacolumns form part of the exterior structural system. The tower was designed with a diamond-shaped crown/atrium and planned observation facilities. Original developer, Golden Properties Holdings. Golden Properties experienced financial difficulties following the 2015 Chinese stock market crash. Construction was halted in 2015, and the tower became the world's tallest unoccupied building. Ivan Birkus and Angela Nicolau climbed the unfinished tower in 2016. A new construction permit was reported in April 2025. Renewed construction began in 2025 after roughly a decade of stagnation. Reported renewed construction contract value, approximately 569 million yuan $78 million. Biggie Engineering Consultants was involved in the renewed project. Completion target 2027. A 7.6-ton diamond-shaped steel crown component was lifted into place in March 2026. In January 2026, met leaders from China CITIC Group, China State Construction Engineering Corporation, and China Cinda regarding the 117 project. Reported 2026 leasing commitment. 17 companies, including 7 state-owned enterprises and 10 private firms. Tianjin CTF Finance Center, 530 meters / 1,739 feet. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.